Hey everyone, it's Lou Larson. Just making one more quick video. This one, I'm still down in Florida. If you're in Florida and you want to get together for some lessons, you can reach out to me through my website. It's Larson. Oh, it's actually, it's not Larson. It's now-guitar.com. It's been really great. The pandemic, which is not great, has me started offering some classes virtually, and I've really had a lot of people interested in lessons, and I've been really excited to work with different people. And sometimes whenever I'm traveling, I can meet up with some of the people that I've only worked with virtually, and we will do some classes one-on-one or some groups. So I've been to Tampa and Naples, Key West. So one of the things I want to talk about today, I get a lot of questions about, is right hand technique. And so my right hand technique was really not very good until I started to study classical guitar. And when I started to study classical guitar, I started to have a lot better understanding of what I was trying to accomplish on the guitar. And so one of my huge discoveries was in classical guitar was the rest stroke and how the rest stroke works. And we use a rest stroke with a pick also. But on classical guitar, I was really amazed because one of the things that I became critically aware of was that the energy that the string is under, because the string's already under tension. So I started to think of the string of the guitar more like a bow and arrow. And I had thought about the guitar string maybe more like a nail. I used to kind of think of the guitar string as a nail, and I would think of my pick as a hammer. And I never really had a very good sound. So whenever I started to learn how to develop better technique, I was able to get a much better sound out of the instrument. So since the string is under tension, one of the first things I learned was I would take my index finger like this, and hopefully you see this, and I'm gonna, so I'm gonna have my index finger and I'm just gonna push straight down on the string. Like I'm gonna try to push it into the sound hole. So I'm pushing straight down, and now I'm gonna move my finger. I'm gonna move it so it's gonna move toward the thicker string. So I'm playing the G string, string 3, and I'm gonna move it toward string 4. So I'm gonna go. Notice that sound? Really great. I'm gonna do the same thing on string 1, the thinnest string. I'm gonna start on string 1, move it to string 2. So the reason this is called a rest stroke is because my finger comes to rest on the adjacent string. And in using this technique, instead of trying to hit the string with the pick like I was hitting a nail with the hammer, I think of it more like a bow and arrow. That I'm actually pulling back a little bit on the bow string, just increasing the tension, and whenever I move my finger out of the way, I allow the string to snap back, and that's where the energy comes from. Same thing happens with your thumb. So this is right finger style, right? So if you'll notice, when I put my hand on the guitar, I really try to have my knuckles be very close to parallel to the strings. The reason why is because whenever I push into the strings with my fingers, I don't want my thumb I don't want them to be in the way of my thumb. So I can play with my fingers and my thumb at the same time without them run into each other. A lot of times I see a lot of people who are still trying to develop good right hand technique. They'll frequently have their hand turned a little bit. And you can see now my knuckles, they're closer to perpendicular or 45 degrees to the string instead of parallel. if I try to play, what's going to happen is my thumb and my index finger, or any of my fingers, they will run into each other. So this is a little bit uncomfortable at first, but with little practice, you can get your wrist bent a little bit, get your knuckles closer to parallel to the strings. One of the techniques that you can use to make this very accessible whenever you're still trying to build this flexibility in your wrist is you can raise the headstock of your guitar. You notice a lot of people call this kind of a classical position, but I've noticed that whenever I remember as a kid, I would see really famous guitar players, and I didn't put all the pieces together right away, but I would just go to see somebody famous. It could be Eddie Van Halen that passed away a few days ago, or Randy Rhoads. Whenever I was a kid, those were the guitar players I was going to see. And I noticed whenever they would play their really fast solos, they would always bring their guitar up like this. They would tip up their guitar. And I always thought they did that just because it looked exciting or was cool. When I started to develop my technique and learn about building better technique, I realized that whenever you bring the headstock of the guitar higher, this gets the tension off your wrist. So your left hand works a lot better. Whenever you're holding the guitar down low like this, what ends up happening is you have to really crank your wrist over. So you put a lot of tension on your wrist if you want your fingers to be lined up along the string. So there's a lot of misconception about this, but I think a lot of people that have their guitar kind of pointed down, they're mainly playing sort of open position chords, and they play with their thumb down close to their index finger and their fingers bunched up. This works pretty great for playing chords. This is okay. But whenever you have to play bar chords, it's really hard if you have your neck of your guitar horizontal or below horizontal. It's extremely difficult to get the type of reach and strength you need to put your to play the right frets if you're holding the guitar with the headstock pointing down. So so now let's talk about the rest stroke with the pick. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna take my pick, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start on string 6. This is the thickest string, and I'm going to imagine that my hand just gets really heavy. So I start with my pick resting on the string, and then it gets heavy, falls to the next string, and here's where it stops. The reason why it's called a rest stroke is because my pick is resting on the adjacent string, string 5. Pick string 6, come to rest on string 5. Pick string 5, come to rest on string 4. Pick string 4, come to rest on string 3. These are all rest strokes. I was surprised. I saw Tony Rice, great bluegrass guitar player, several years ago. I had really, really good seats right up in the front row, and I could really see his technique, which is excellent. His thumb's on the back of the neck. He's got a lot of space between his fingers. He plays everything in position, and it made it obvious to me that he is very efficient as a player, which allows him to play really fast. And because he plays in position so well, he has his scales and melody lines memorized. So but one of the things that I really took away from seeing Tony Rice play is anytime he was playing the melody lines of the song, he was rest stroke picking almost everything. And that's a big part of how he has such a great sound. Notice that So I'll take this breaststroke pick with the flat pick, and I'll combine that with my fingers. So that's how I work in what most people refer to as hybrid picking. So I have put my hand position so that my finger is able to move very close to perpendicular to the strings, and then I'll do it with my thumb. And I'll show you this little. All right, little demonstration of right hand technique. If you have any questions, reach out to me through my website, which is now-guitar.com. It's now-guitar.com. I have a page where you can contact me there, and I have a blog. So hopefully I'll see you soon.